Hi everyone. We've had an interesting question about settling the mind. It's from someone on our course currently who quotes something that I said on the webinar. She said something like, "Non-duality teachers say there is nothing to do, but there are things we can do to settle the mind." And then she asks, what things can be done to settle the mind?" Yeah, and this I think is like this the sort of tension in this understanding really is that, well, for example, I went to a non-duality retreat and the teacher stood at the front and said, "There is no point you being here. There is nothing for you to learn. There is nothing for you to know. You might as well leave now. Go back to your hotel rooms, go and walk around the grounds. There's nothing for you in this." And it's true, isn't it, that there is nothing for the self-identity really, for this idea of what we are, this construct, this concept of self, because it's that concept of self that is hiding the pure beingness, the pure life that we are. So if we consider that what we are is infinite absolute beingness, that's it. There's nothing to do, is there? Because that's happening now. And the more activity of mind there is, the more seeking activity of mind, the more hidden that pure beingness is. So that is very honest, completely direct, completely straightforward, totally authentic statement, really. There's nothing for you here. And yet, and this is my own thing, I know, and I know that many teachers would disagree with this, but I can't get past it. And yet, the lived experience of that teacher is aligned with that pure space of beingness. We can see his eyes are shining with pure aliveness, really. He's not contemplating suicide. He's not in conflict with people in his life. He's not struggling to express himself and create. He's not trapped in his house because he's too scared of what people will think of him if he goes outside. His life experience, his mind, what his mind is saying is aligned to the truth of what he is. And ironically, this is what allows him, enables him, gives him that glimpse into the truth of what we are, to say, "There's nothing here for you. I've seen that it's the mind that creates the issue. And that's why I'm here telling you." But the truth of it is that for most of us, our lived experience of what we are is totally different from that teacher. We're not living that freedom, and we are experiencing ourselves and other people and experiences, situations through this thick veil of self-belief, self-identity that is distorting everything. And the teacher says, that's the problem, that distortion is the problem. Okay, so now what? How do I get rid of it? And he says, well, you don't have to get rid of it. You just have to see that it's the problem. Okay, so how do I see that it's the problem? Because at the moment, it all looks real to me. And this is really, as I see it, the tension in this conversation is that both are true. Both are true, that it is only what the mind creates that that veils the absolute peace, the unconditional love, the existential bliss of being. It's only the mind's creation, but yet that mind's creation is absolutely compelling, absolutely gripping, and it contains in it the life experience of everything the body has learned, everything that has been often, everything that's been endured in often traumatic times that can create a real such a contraction in the physical, in the mental, in the emotional, that it's like impossible, it seems, to move through that. So the question for me is, yes, absolutely, you're right, non-dual teacher. You're right, and I honor and respect so much your forthrightness and your honesty, and and I think it seems to me that the Holy Grail, maybe the purpose of all our lives, is what is it that allows the mind to settle in the way that your mind has settled? Because some teachers talk about just having this sudden realization, or gradually, bit by bit. So are we saying that that's a preserve just for the people who are privileged enough, ready enough to have that road to Damascus revelation? In which case, cruel even to stand up in front of a group of people and say, I've seen this, you're not going to see that, because there's nothing you can do to get this peace that I'm experiencing. And it's not true, is it? There are things that can happen for the mind to settle. And there are many, many, many different teachers of this who access it in different ways. And it seems to me that one of the greatest gifts, perhaps, is to find a teacher that speaks to you in the language that really deeply resonates with you, that lives in a way that is authentic to what they're saying, that doesn't that offers probably offers offers a portal to how your mind can align to what's true, to how your own personal experience and your belief structure, your identity, your sense of isolation, your sense of desperation or shame or need or control, how all of that, how freedom can be found with all of that. That it seems to me so like that is literally the point of life, to realize what we are. And so from my own teaching, the two ways in that seem to me magical are, first of all, a rational conversation at the mind level, at the intellectual level, because the mind is extraordinary, and it's a manifestation, isn't it, of the intelligence that we are, and it is logical, and it's insightful, and it can grasp facts and truths and implications. And in the grasping of these facts and truths and implications, everything starts to change. So a rational conversation about what the self is, about what reality is, about what thought is, about what the mind creates, about imagination, about time, about past and future. This is brilliant for the mind. Why would we not have these conversations? It's brilliant because the mind understands and gets it. And when it gets it, so say for example, I spent decades obsessed with what people thought of me, obsessed, and it was such a limitation. It was such a horror. I'd literally wake up terrified of what I would do in that day that would create shame or humiliation, or that would upset people. I would embarrass myself. I would cause harm. And then at the end of the day, in the middle of the night, going through all the things I'd said and done and how I would have messed up. So an entire experience of self and life and other governed by that belief structure of, first of all, that I could know what people were thinking of me and that they would be thinking bad things. And then in a conversation, I think it was through Michael's Super Coach Academy, just suddenly phew, how can this mind ever know another's thoughts? And even if in that moment I know what that person is thinking or believing, the next moment that belief might have changed. So it's completely obsolete. It's gone. So I don't know what someone is thinking about me ever. And even if they're telling me what they think of me, even if they're saying, I hate you, Claire, I don't know that that's true. And I don't know that in the next minute that belief hasn't changed. So I could spend my life working with that information, but it's just not true. It wasn't true the moment it left their lips. It's gone. And that was grasped by the mind. And it was a transformation in that whole structure of thought, that whole structure of belief and behavior. So there are enormous things that conversation and inquiry and presence to reality can do. And there's a lot of incredible teachers who guide us in that. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing that I'm really so excited about is subliminal recordings that go under the shields and under the sort of belief structure, under the defense system of the mind, and go in. So go in subconsciously, and these would be statements that speak directly to the truth of our being, that speak to our wholeness, to the intelligence that we are, to the continuous ability to respond to what and meet whatever arises. Those statements can go in subconsciously. They're not pushed away. They're not denied by a mind that doesn't believe that. So they go in and they amplify that truth within us. And we do find, when people listen to them, there can be quite significant, either physical or emotional, mental reactions to these, because they're fundamentally changing the wiring of the brain. They're changing the structures of, they're changing the foundation really on which this belief structure is built. So it can't exist in that same way anymore. And it seems to me those two things, well, actually, I'm going to add more to that. Those two things, plus a loving, supportive community. So important that, because if you think about it, we're really dealing with a self-identity that is insecure, is feeling incomplete, is feeling lacking, is feeling at risk, is feeling unstable. And to some very real degree, that identity has to feel held. The person has to feel acknowledged in order to be safe enough to allow this inquiry to unfold. Really seems so important, that. And why wouldn't we anyway? Why wouldn't we hold our fellow explorers in this? Really, really love them, understand what they're dealing with and bravely facing. Yeah. So that would be the third thing. And then the fourth thing, which I know is very unfashionable, but it's doing stuff from the place of what will happen. What view of myself and other is held in this activity that the doing is going to change. Action is dynamic, and it's an intimacy with the world. It's a moving into the form that was previously held mentally as concepts. So, for example, one of the things we're doing on a course at the moment is a money exercise, which is holding people to creation, from idea to creation of the project or the service, and then offering it out into the world. And at each stage, what we can see is that these concepts of what's, my worth, my value, my creations, what other people's reactions, all of these things can hold us in complete paralysis. But when we act, when we do, we can't any longer just hold that idea in our head, because it's dynamically changing. And so there is a lot in doing from the space of inquiry, so important, that really directly confronts this reality that's held in the mind that can't be true, and then getting more intimate with the world, really asking things in the world, offering things, shows that was not ever true. Yeah, so those are the four things I would say: discussion, conversation, subliminal activity, doing things, And oh, I forgot the third one. What did I say? Love. Oh, I forgot that. Community. Holding people. Yeah. So those four things I would say are ways in to actual reality, to seeing what's true, and to allowing the lived experience of what we are to align with what's true. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.